Just to confuse you, it's the next morning. You saw us a minute ago in New Brighton at the lifeboat station where Lee was getting a soaking from his colleagues. We made a separate video there because it was such an interesting topic, which you'll have already seen because we got that video up earlier, a few weeks earlier in fact, a few months earlier probably by the time you're watching this one. So it's now the next day and the sun is rising, and this is where we parked up overnight. A really nice park up, quite busy with cars overnight racing along, which spoilt it a little bit for us, but a gorgeous view to wake up to. We'll head back to New Brighton, probably have some breakfast. We've got to call at Lee's house because he's got something for us, very kindly got something for us. And then we'll carry on looking for those mermaids and those murals. Called at Lee's and picked up lots of little bits and pieces, big bits and pieces for the van, which is very kindly given to us, and lots of useful things in there for us for spares. And now it's definitely time for breakfast. It is. Bit of a disappointment. The tea rooms that we liked last time we were here is closed today, and that's where we're going to go for breakfast. Apparently you can park here overnight. You recognise that from when we were there the other day? A couple of videos back? And good news, the cafe we like is open at 10 o'clock, so we'll be going in for breakfast then. Struggling to walk a bit again with my knee, so we won't be walking too far. We're going to drive to have a look at the mermaids and have a wander to look at some of the murals. Remember when? The tea room. That's where we were the other week, and we've just been in again for breakfast, and we can't recommend it highly enough, can we?
No, really friendly people.
Dog friendly as well. You have the big breakfast, it's refillable coffee or tea, and they would continue refilling for as long as you wanted, wouldn't they?
They would. And we were told that we could just sit there as long as we wanted to.
Yeah.
We had things to do, or have things to do, so we had to move on.
So where are we off to?
Well, there's a statue round here, but of a dog. So we need to find that to start with. There's also a geocache there, so...
You say so.
So I did.
We're just heading up to the statue of the dog now.
It's Sid. Sid the statue. And it's a little piece of history. It's the birthplace of a charity which has been making a major difference to thousands of blind people. It recognises the work of guide dogs for the community in the years since Guide Dogs for the Blind. Yeah, to commemorate the foundation of the Guide Dogs for the Blind Association at the Cliff, New Brighton, in 1931.
And this guide dog's called Sid because it's modelled on someone's actual dog, isn't it?
Yeah.
You said.
Yeah, it's Mr. Johnson said, when I arrived to find a guide dog, they said this fella looks as mad as the dog. But Sid turned out to be one of the best.
And there's a geocache.
But I've got to read this a little bit more, because it said Mr. Stocker said it was an introduction into a world I had not known of reality, and it was an education for me to see how the guide dogs are trained. So, it was, this statue was made or sculptured by the Cheshire-based artist Robbie Stocker.
Oh.
Any relation?
I don't know. For those of you who don't know, Stocker is my surname, so it's not a...
Originally from Wallasey himself, he had been commissioned to create the work, now called Sid.
Oh, we shall call it Sid Stocker.
But as we say, there's a geocache here, so...
Is there any likeness? Yeah, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say it's the nose.
It's the nose that does it.
What's the hint?
The hint is Eric.
Eric.
That's what it says.
The first thing I think of when I think Eric is Morecambe.
Yeah. It might be just along here then.
Still looking for the geocache, and we've come across a memorial bench in commemoration of David Horseman, a kind and caring man devoted to the guide dogs for the Blind Association. And as you can see, it actually says that in Braille as well. Got it.
It's been well found. 28th. 28th, is it today?
Yeah. It would have been my 30th wedding anniversary today.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Ooh, we're coming up 9 years.
It's a long way off 30 though.
But it's been 9 good years. Plus all the ones before. 19 years this year.
I know.
He could say it with a bit more enthusiasm, couldn't he?
I know.
The first mermaid that we're going to look at is just over there. There are 6 mermaids in all on a walking trail. I'm not sure we're going to walk to them all. We might have to drive to a few today because of my knee. Though again, your knee's not that much better, is it really?
Mine's fine. I don't whinge.
He doesn't whinge, he just winces.
Is that winces or minces?
Both. My darling. Come along, dear.
Going all the way up there.
This is actually the 5th mermaid on the trail. And this is the Black Rock Mermaid. And there are information boards about all the different mermaids. But what we can tell you is the Mermaid Trail, which I say there are 6, takes its inspiration from the Black Rock Mermaid, who is said to have appeared to a local sailor in New Brighton in the 18th century. It's designed by local artist Barry Canning Eaton. So there's 6 life-sized identical statues which have been decorated by local schools and art-based community groups.
We were told earlier that they were only planned for a short period of time.
Yeah, but the council decided to keep them because they actually bring in tourists in.
And the artist still maintains them.
He does. If they need touching up or anything, he comes along to, or goes along to whichever one he needs to, and paints it back up. But this is the actual black rock mermaid, which is said to have appeared, as we say, to a sailor back in the olden days at Perch Rock, which is the fort over there. Is called Perch Rock, but it was also known as Black Rock. Dotted around New Brighton, there are lots of different memorial plaques and signs about different boats and ships that have met a fateful end. And this one is Liverpool pilot boat SS Alfred H. Reed. Despite the risk from enemy action, the Liverpool pilot boat Alfred H. Reed was on station at the Mersey Bar on 28th of December 1917 even. The Admiralty had warned mariners mine laying German U-boats were active in the Irish Sea and Mersey approaches. The Alfred H. Reed struck an enemy mine and sank instantly. 39 crew members lost their lives. There were 2 survivors. So that'll be out there. Well,
on the bar, yeah, it's way out there. The thing that we've noticed around the beaches here are these little, well, the last one was a bucket full of
that had toys
and a ball for the dogs and things.
And then this chest.
So people come to the seaside and there's always something to play with.
We're heading towards Fort Perch Rock now. Get a bit closer.
Even with your knee?
Even with my knee. It's got quite a story about it as well, hasn't it? Well, this is a coastal defence battery, and it was built between 1825 and 1829. And it was built to defend the port of Liverpool, and was proposed as a fortified lighthouse. And it was thought that the fort would protect Liverpool from a French invasion during the Napoleonic War. It had room for 100 men plus officers. It had 18 guns, 16 of which were 32 pounders. Quite big guns then.
Yes.
The fort soon became known to sailors as the Little Gibraltar of the Mersey. And it cost an amazing £27,000 to build. And it's built with red sandstone. And the guns were actually fired in anger, but only twice. And it was decommissioned by the War Office in 1956. They do have concerts on in the fort. We were hoping we'd be able to get in, but it doesn't look like you can apart from in the bar, cafe area. It looks like they have concerts on. I've just picked up a leaflet and I'll just grab it for you. They have an Escape the Fort, the ultimate live action escape room experience, which you can book. I like history, but I'm not very good at remembering anything. I don't know a lot about the Napoleonic Wars. So what can you tell us, Keith? What do you know?
Well, it's the British against the French, wasn't it?
I know that. I just wondered who won the war.
We did. Because we imprisoned Napoleon, didn't we?
I don't know.
Do you not know anything about
I don't know.
British history?
I just took no notice of it at school, which is a shame.
Nelson, Trafalgar, all that.
Kiss Me Hardy.
Yeah.
I'd probably remember
Wellington.
that bit. Boots.
Yes. So, New Brighton, up till the 19th century, had a reputation for pirates
and smuggling.
And shipwrecking. So start again.
That'll be an outtake then.
Another one. Up to the 19th century, New Brighton had a reputation for smuggling and shipwrecking. And I believe, or there's rumours, that the tunnels that the shipwreckers used are still around somewhere. Don't know where.
No, we've not found anyone local to ask really, but they are rumoured to be here.
It's all sandy, so
Yeah.
I don't know where they'd dig a tunnel.
In 1872, diarist Francis Kilvert described the River Mersey resort as crowded with vessels of all sorts moving up and down the river. Ships, barks, brigs, brigantines, schooners, cutters, colliers, tugs, steamboats, lighters and flats. Everything from the huge emigrant liner steamship with 4 masts to the tiny sailing and rowing boats. He continued, "At New Brighton there were beautiful sands stretching for miles along the coast, and the woods waved green down to the salt water's edge. The sands were covered with middle-class Liverpool folks and their children out for a holiday." Here were Francis Kilvert then.
He was a clergyman, and his diaries reflected rural life in the 1870s. But they weren't published for about 50 years after his death.
I suppose diarists were like photographers from
the historians,
Yeah,
aren't they? Recorders, the photographers and things. Other little gem about Francis, he was an enthusiast for public bathing in the nude.
Really?
Yes, which he regarded as natural and healthy. So, another little gem from Wiki.
Good old Wiki.
He wrote, "I was out early before breakfast this morning, bathing from the sands. There was a delicious feeling of freedom in stripping in the open air and running down naked to the sea, where the waves were curling white with foam and the red morning sunshine glowing upon the naked limbs of the bathers."
But did he have his dog collar on?
No, he was naked.
I'm not asking for me. I'm asking for a friend. Well, I'm asking for a subscriber or a viewer, really.
What?
Can you sing?
No.
Well, I knew that. It's just that ferries across the Mersey used to come to New Brighton, but they ceased in 1971.
Did they?
So,
I thought they were still going.
No, apparently it says what I found. So, dear viewer, that has saved you Keith having to sing to you.
So you've been looking at geocaching again?
I have,
and
yeah.
you found some more interesting
I have about
information.
the fort, actually, because there's a cache here or very nearby. So, a defence battery, as we said. Currently open as a museum. I couldn't see a way in.
No, perhaps it's through the cafe. We'll have a look.
The fort covers an area of about 4,000 square yards. And it was built, as we said before, of red sandstone, but that actually came from quarries in Runcorn.
Runcorn,
So not
right.
too far from Warrington. The height of the walls ranges from 24 feet to 32 feet, and the towers are 40 feet high. And the fort, this will be it, the fort originally had a drawbridge and a Tuscan portal which bore the coat of arms and words, Fort Perch Rock.
Which is behind us.
Well, this is what we like about geocaching as well, isn't it? Again, we find out little bits of history and bits like that. And that plane's going into Speak, or as it's called these days, John Lennon Airport.
John Lennon International
Is it?
Airport. But yes.
And if you ever fly into that airport or fly out of that airport and you don't know it all, outside the main terminal, I don't know, it's the only terminal, Liverpool.
I think it is.
There's a yellow submarine, which was placed a good few years ago. And I'm not going to sing either. Different view of the fort now. And just been reading on the website, and it says Fort Perch Rock is home to a number of permanent maritime and aviation-based museum displays. Also has frequent guest displays and exhibitions
There's been a lighthouse here since the 1600s, since 1683 in fact. But this one was built, or construction started, in 1827. And it's made of marble rock brought over from Anglesey.
This cost a bit more than the fort to build, though, didn't it?
I'd imagine so.
£127,000.
Don't think it says. It's not written down.
Oh, right. Okay, then. I'm pretty sure I read £127,000, but I could be wrong. I often am. That's Bootle Docks. When you get up close, you can see what an impressive structure this is. He's just signed another geocache logbook, and this is one of those nice clever ones, isn't it?
It is.
I'm not going to show you the exact location, but we'll see. Let you see if you can spot it when it's back in place. Can you spot it? Like clever ones like that, don't we?
You do. Is that Reverend Gilbert? No.
No, he's got wearing far too many clothes. Over where the Burger King and all that is over there, those buildings, that used to be the Lido, didn't it?
Yeah.
And when we were here a few weeks ago, we were walking around the other side, we spotted quite a lot of jellyfish in there, didn't we?
We did.
We still need to go and find some murals, and we still need to go and find out a little bit about the Beatles.
And the mermaids.
And the mermaids, more of the mermaids, and coffee, tea, cake before we go home.
Yeah.
That was quite refreshing and warm in there. Where you saw us parked up this morning, there were people in the sea there, and it looked a little bit cold. Can you see anything?
I see no ships.
What is?
I think there's rubbish in there, but it's supposed to dispose of your fishing and crabbing line. See if it all tangle free.
I thought if you looked through there and you looked down, you could just look at your feet. There are lots of murals dotted around New Brighton, depicting lots of different stories about the history and other things that have gone on. And this one shows a lighthouse.
Looks like a pirate ship or smugglers.
There's the pirates with their barrels. In fact, if you look here, there are QR codes. And this one's by artists known as the Nomad Clan, and it's called Seeking's Finding. So with the benefit of technology, it's one of those things that you step back from and you look at for it. Let's try that again. it's one of those things that when you step back and look at it for longer than just glancing, you see more things I hadn't seen until just. In fact, I don't. The rat there, I don't know whether you'll see that.
On a barrel.
It's
actually sat on a barrel.
Oh, right, yeah, I can see the outline of it now.
And the murals, this one by the Nomad clan, depict sort of cultural heritage. So I think this is one that's looking at the smuggling and the shipwreckers. Presumably the lights, the fires to entice the ships onto the rocks.
That was a local saying, actually. I remember reading that now. From people, if they did find anything. Seeking's finding and finding's keeping. That was a local saying for if they found anything on the
a bit like
on the shore.
The old finders keepers.
Finders keepers, yeah. So that's the first mural. We've got a few we're going to look at. There's far too many to do just in one video, but there are some interesting ones that we want to share with you. Murals are dotted all around town, and some of the side streets as well. Don't know the story of this one. Don't know whether that's the title of it or the artist aches. There's a German shepherd. A German shepherd on the side of that building. And the detail that goes into them, when you look at the eye on that,
yes,
it's got reflections in it. I hadn't realised, or I certainly hadn't realised, when I was looking at it straight on, I only saw the German shepherd, but you come back a distance, you can see a golden retriever, a Labrador,
yeah,
and then
sort of
down at the bottom to the right of the window, you can see another dog's nose and whiskers as well. So that's very clever, isn't it?
It is.
And this one is called I Heart.
One Heart.
Oh, it's actually I Heart.
Is it?
I love New Brighton.
All right.
And it's a series of helium balloons with a big heart helium balloon as well. This one's by Fanakapan. Yes, this is I Love New Brighton. Used to like those.
I know.
Not much of a fairground now. I'm sure it used to be a lot bigger. I wanted to show you this one. Light might not be the best because we've got the sun right there. That might be better for you.
And you might have seen this chap.
I think he actually avoided us.
He might have just got on the video when we were at the lifeboat, but he was there. He's got the Queen's Award, wasn't it, or something? Let's have a look in the
old book.
In the old book.
You.
It's a portrait of Mick Jones.
Mike Jones.
Mike Jones. It's a portrait of Mike Jones to celebrate 40 years as a volunteer with the RNLI.
And he is still a volunteer. As Keith said, he was at the lifeboat station. If you remember back to the video we showed a while ago at the lifeboat station in New Brighton, he was actually in the background. 40 years service, that's a heck of a long time. And again, the detail that goes into it, actual strands on his beard. And Lee, who we chatted to at the lifeboat station, was saying that what is really nice is when they're coming off a shout, after they've been to a rescue or whatever, you can see though, coming over there, one of the things that lets them know they're near home is they can see the mural of Mike. Being subjective.
Yes, objective.
Objective even. That one does nought for me. It's very clever, but it doesn't capture my imagination. What about you?
Yes. Brightens up a wall.
Two for the price of one here. We've got another mermaid. It's quite a plain one compared to some of the others. Or she's quite a plain one. Oh, what does this one say?
This is number 6. So this is the last one in the series.
Quite a plain one for the last one,
It is.
isn't it? I would have thought it would be brighter. I can't really read it. It says about the name of the
Artist Barry Canning Eaton.
very tactile. We'll start up close with an old penny.
So Frank Peggy Gadsby was a one-legged diver who dived for pennies off the New Brighton Pier. He became known as for his phrase, "Don't forget the diver, sir. Don't forget the divers. Every penny makes the water warmer." They used to throw pennies into the sea, and he used to dive for them.
When we step back a bit, it's quite apt. It was on this bar is no longer called the Neptune Hotel, but it was the Neptune Hotel, and you can see him diving down and pennies dropping. So if you want to wander around New Brighton, have a look. This one's on Mason Street.
Yeah.
As we carry on wandering around, we see more murals. This is the Mysterines. No idea about this one. And then another one there. This looks almost Banksy, doesn't it, in the artwork of the children. This one is a smaller mural. It's called the Two Helmets, but originally, in my notes, it was called the Three Bell Inns, and it was a sign that hung above the pub, and it showed Dominic Cummings, Matt Hancock and Boris Johnson wearing bells on their heads. That seems to have changed, and it's now called the Two Helmets, and it's Boris Johnson and Matt Hancock wearing white helmets with a red cross on. I think the sentiment's probably the same, don't you?
I think so, yes. They might have been told off for calling them bell ends.
Possibly. I've now found the original. Looks like it might have been moved. Here we go.
Ah, right.
The Three Bell Ends. Cummings, Johnson and Hancock. Or as I called him after all the going to test his eyesight and all that, Dominic Scummings. The Three Bell Ends. But as you wander around town, there's artwork everywhere. And it's really nice. And it, again, helps with tourism, doesn't it? Because people will wander around and just spot
Have a
the
drink
murals, won't they?
or something to eat or something, but yes.
I've got another couple of things to find before we end this video. With a coffee, probably, I hope.
Or a tea.
Or a tea. And a bit of cake. Ah! Ooh, that was my knee again, twisted. And a small little bit of artwork here. And this is by Joe Forrest, and it was only done in 2022. And you might think you're looking at Blackpool Tower, but you're not. You're looking at New Brighton Tower. New Brighton Tower opened in 1900, and it was the tallest in the country, taller than Blackpool Tower, at 621 feet, and it cost £120,000 to build. During its construction, 6 men were killed, but during World War I, it became neglected, because obviously people who have been maintaining it were at war and requiring renovation, and the owners just couldn't afford it in the end. So eventually the tower was dismantled and the metal sold for scrap. But the building here at its base continued until it was destroyed by fire in 1969. What I discovered.
So this is the Black Pearl pirate ship. It was a community art project set up. It's been damaged several times, but the community keeps rebuilding it. It's really a child's play centre now. It's all made out of driftwood. So, a little sort of play area for children. And just again, a bit of a art installation just to reflect New Brighton's history with pirates and smuggling.
All along the sea wall, river wall I should say, are memorial plaques giving information about wrecks and accidents that happen to boats and ships, and they're placed as close to where the occurrences took place. They're in memory of the merchant seamen, both British and foreign, tugboat crews and all of the dock and river workers that risked and sometimes lost their lives in war and peace, whilst following their lawful employment on this great river Mersey. Many of the fatalities have no known graves. And there's two here. There's a memorial plaque to the merchant ship SS Ullapool. The SS Ullapool was inward bound on the 13th of March 1941. After crossing the Atlantic Ocean and invading the hunting U-boat wolf packs, she reached sanctuary in home waters. As she approached New Brighton Pier, she struck a drifting German parachute mine. 15 of the crew died in the explosion. Badly damaged, the Ullapool sank. That's that plaque. And then there's another plaque here, a peacetime casualty, the Empress of Canada. Now that actually had been for a major refit prior to the Queen's coronation and been towed from dry dock at Gladstone Dock when a fire was discovered. And when the fire brigade arrived on scene, they tried to put the fire out, but because of the amount of water that was taken on from fighting the fire, the ship began to list and then sank. No one was lost, but the ship eventually capsized, and it took 2 months to salvage everything out of her. She became just a wreck. It took the 2 months to remove 2,500 tons of debris and mud before she was refloated and towed to the Gladstone dry dock, where she was made watertight and then taken her last voyage to the breakers in Genoa. An interesting story about the Empress ships. My mum and dad, along with my sister and brother, before I was born in the late 50s, emigrated to Quebec in Canada to move to a place called Three Rivers, Trois Rivières. My dad stayed for 2 years, but my mum came back after a year because she was really homesick, and she came back with my brother and sister. My dad stayed for another year to fulfill his contract. But yeah, that was another Empress ship, the Empress of Britain. And this is the Empress of Canada, the sister ship. And they actually sailed from Liverpool, so a little bit of a connection there. And this is a site of the tower and the ballroom underneath.
Yes.
And the interesting fact here is that the Beatles played here 27 times.
That's right. More than anywhere else apart from the Cabin Club in the UK.
And there is a blue plaque marking that fact. We're ending this video not with a coffee, but with a hot chocolate. Hope you found this video interesting. We can certainly recommend a wander around New Brighton, can't we? And a
We
visit.
can.
Lots to see, lots of history.
And we've not even done all of it yet.
No.
So.
Very welcoming people, very dog friendly.
Mm-hmm.
No matter where we've gone, we've been, well, not us, the dogs have
They've been treated to treats and
to
things.
dog biscuits. So yes, we can thoroughly recommend it. And we're just finishing off at the coffee box with this drink by the site of the old New Brighton Tower and Ballroom. Thanks for watching. Next time, we think we're in Gloucester, visiting friends. Bye.
Bye.